The Rosen Report, sports like never before. Brought to you by Gouche Live and Paramount Sports Management. Here's Rosey.
A good, beautiful Saturday afternoon to everybody. It's Roundtable Saturday, and on Saturdays for the balance of August, we're going to put Gouche Live, Talking with Taylor, and the Rosen Report all into the Roundtable at noon. Not 100% sure if Scotty got his internet worked out yet in Winnipeg. It is a long weekend. On Monday is, I think it's a civic holiday this year, but we'll figure it out. Anyways, let's bring the Gouche up, and somehow we'll get through the Roundtable. Is this a civic long weekend, Gouche?
It's a long weekend.
No, I know that, but there's a name to it. I can't. September's is the Memorial one. Labor Day, well, I don't know, whatever. Monday is a holiday.
Happy day off. Happy day off Monday. Hey, yeah. Barry, Shelley saying, great to see you back, Paul. Hope you're feeling better. Let's get into it. We're waiting for Scott Taylor. Again, maybe because of the long weekend, he's probably at, I don't know, Grand Beach, laying on the sand with a Speedo. Yeah. We had, I don't know if you saw it, we had Gene Principe on in Edmonton, and he had that shirt on that looked like Popeye going to the beach. So maybe Scotty, maybe he's with Gino.
Gino's one of the absolute nicest. When in 2008, when I was honored by EPCOR as the crazy man of the year in Edmonton, he was one that did the whole day with me. What a great guy! What a professional, Gene.
Fantastic, and funnier than heck.
People, yeah.
You know, you look at him. He tries to be funny, and he is.
Great hair too. He's got absolutely great hair.
Gino Principe.
Yeah. All righty. We got a quick little Rosen report on Rosen.
Let's do it.
Rosie's rant. All right. Quick Rosie's rant on a Saturday long weekend in July, the last day of July in 2021. Okay, guys, this is my rant. Okay, if you're watching the Olympics, the Paralympics are going to come up very soon in a couple of weeks. The Olympics are great. Love watching it. I want everybody to please think when you start saying things on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever, and you start, saying negative things against some of these athletes, use your brains that these are amateur athletes. 90% of them are not making money. If they are, it's limited. Their career is limited, and their mental psyche is so thin that when you get on somebody and they get a silver instead of gold, or they have to bow out of the Paralympics or the Olympics because of mental health reasons, think of yourself in that position at 19, at 20, at 25, at 30. And think hard before you say something that's going to maybe take somebody who's in a vulnerable position to the edge, because I've been there. So use your brains when you say something. If you got nothing nice to say to an Olympian or Paralympian, don't say anything. You want to say something not nice? Say it in your home. Don't put it on the internet so the whole world can see. That's it for me. I'm fed up with this nonsense, Gouche.
Hey, listen, people are struggling. One of the things I was going to say to that, I know mental health is a big issue. We're seeing what's going on with Simone Biles. We know exactly what's going on with a bunch of players. You've been through it. I've never actually not played because of mental health illness, even though, I struggled. I know that for a fact. But I think what's really important is that we look at this and understand that people they hide behind the keyboards. There's no question. But here's my question to you. People that hide, is that their form of dealing with their own mental illness? I know it's wrong. I'm not going to suggest that anybody should be doing that, but do we have to look at a way that for them, this is venting? And I'll just say this. I was downtown a couple of days ago, and I did see a young lady that was struggling, and she was lost, walking all over the place. And then beside her came another guy that was again lost. I wouldn't suggest they were on drugs. It looked awkward for the moment. And I think what we need to do is we have to have some compassion and understanding that we're all going through this together. Let's try and lay down the arms. And I would say the arms is the keyboard. And let's all listen, and then help. So I hope that contributed to your rant a bit.
Absolutely. Just don't be negative. It's the keyboard is your little thing that you need. Then do it in the privacy of your home against yourself, not against somebody else. And it is so difficult. You're watching the games right now. You're watching the Olympics. Like an athlete who is so geared up, they were talking to Donovan Bailey. It was 25 years from his gold medal run. And, his part of his whole thing was running in front of the crowd, the massive crowd, and loving the feedback from the crowd, good and bad. And he can't imagine like a Simone Biles, a DeGrasse, and Andre DeGrasse running tonight, running in front of nobody, an empty crowd. They're so used to that adrenaline that, I don't know. It's hard for the average person to understand. That's why I think just don't say anything. Don't have a comment unless it's good.
I'll tell you what, I watched both of those races, obviously with DeGrasse and then the women's 100 final. I don't think it affected anybody not being in the crowd. That girl from Jamaica, I apologize, I don't know her name. I think her last name was Thompson. She had won the gold medal, and she had a lot of issues. Wow, she was a firecracker, and she did Olympic record. So what a great...
She's also extremely happy that the U.S. Banned their runner, because she would have won it easily. The U.S.
We don't love you, Paul. We don't know that.
Well,
honestly,
she's dominated for the last year. Nobody's come close to her.
Yeah, and you know what was I found interesting is when the three girls won, they all won from Jamaica. I didn't see the other two that ecstatic about the winner winning, and I thought that was kind of weird. But anyways, that's for another show. Hey, listen, I just want to say, I guess we've lost Scott. I guess he is stuck probably in on the beach. Barry Shelley has to write this. When do we see Gouche in a Speedo? And look at my good friend Kendra Fisher. Barry Shelley, well, now, we don't all need to see this.
No, we don't.
Now, I hope that was only a joke, because you don't want to see me in a Speedo, let me tell you.
No, that can stay to Tony, and just we'll leave Tony to that, and everybody else.
Jordan's hanging around the house. He did see me in my skivvies. Okay. And I said, don't laugh, because this will be you in 40 years.
Yeah. No, you never know.
All right, let's get into it. We don't have Scott Taylor for our round table. But you know what? He's always Jordan. There. We got Jordan LaRoche. Come on up, buddy.
The Fanshawe Kid.
Hey, boys.
Fanshawe Kid, I haven't seen you in it seems like forever.
I know. It took a little hiatus, but I feel good to be back.
Perfect.
He's back in the saddle.
Let's get this motor going.
Yeah, and do not make any comments about you seeing me in my skivvies there, Jordan. We'll keep that private. All right, let's do it. Jordan, why don't you, I know that we were going to go through, we'll change the format up a little bit. You are the meister behind the camera. You take care of all the stats, and you pull up things when we need it. Why don't we do this? Paul, we'll have Jordan throw the questions at us that I was going to throw to you and Scott, and we'll make comments on them, because I think there's a lot of really cool things that Jordan had put together for the show. And it'd be best him delivering the question, and I'll give you my perspective, and hopefully it's not exactly your perspective, so we can have some fun with it. You go first. All right, Jordan.
All right. So we'll start with Seattle. They have a bit of a good problem right now. They just picked up two goalies with Chris Driedger and Phil Grubauer. Signed them both to pretty decent deals. Grubauer $5.9 million and Driedger $3.5 million. I don't think that's a real sustainable goalie tandem, just financially. What do you guys think about who do they trade one? Who starts for them? What do you guys think? We'll start out with Rosey.
Yeah, I love it, actually, to be really honest with you guys. I love it. I think it's great, especially for a new team in the league. Goaltending has to be very solid. They got lots of room on the cap. They want to show their fan base that they're serious on winning, maybe not winning the cup right away, but at least not getting destroyed. And I think goaltending is critical, especially nowadays in the amount of games that they play and the amount of time. I love it. Grubauer's number one. Driedger's the backup, but Driedger can play 30 games easy, 35 games, and Gruber plays, 40, 45, whatever. You work it out that way. I keep them both. They're still under 10 million with the two of them. I love it. I think Ron Francis has a fantastic problem there. It's no problem.
Well, I didn't educate myself on the question as much as I wanted to, but before I answer the question of who, did they not also pick up two young goaltenders? I think it was Decord, if I'm not mistaken.
He'll go to their American farm team. American
No,
League.
and then there was another one that was pretty impressive. I can't.
But whatever the Russian kid that went back to Washington. He went back to Washington.
Yeah, he
He
did.
did go to Washington. Okay, good. All right. Thank you for informing me. So here's my take on it. I love Chris Streeter. He's only played 38 games in National Hockey League. I think that's maybe a question mark for Seattle. They want to be competitive. And by obviously moving in the direction that they've moved now, they're going to have two solid goaltenders. Grubauer, yet to be proven to win a Stanley Cup. I know there's a couple of questions about it. Obviously, Kempfer's going there to help Colorado. They were in huge trouble. What would they have done if they didn't get him? But I think having Driedger and Grubauer is a super tandem. I think Grubauer is going to get most of the starts this year myself, unless something else changes. But let's just make sure that we don't throw out Driedger, because Driedger's a hell of a goalie, and I think he's going to be in a 1A, 1B position, and I think 1A is going to be Grubauer.
I agree 100%.
But say even Grubauer starts the season, do you think whoever starts there will be the starter if they make it to the playoffs? Like, do you see either of these guys having kind of an off year, or?
That's so hard to say, Jordan. You know what? They're two real good goalies. You go back and forth, and if they make the playoffs, it's going to be really tough. The divisions are going to be insane this year. And I think if they make the playoffs, and you go with a hot hand, and the hot hand teams have you saw it last year in the playoffs. You know, there was teams that they went with their hot goalie, and teams that maybe went back and forth. They had trouble. So I think they just see how the season goes. Remember, it's their first year in the NHL. They got to walk before they run.
Yep. And you know what? They've got two goaltenders where when a team's in trouble, that let's say Seattle doesn't get off to the start they want, and there are teams that obviously that are in a position where they want to make the playoffs and do a run for the Stanley Cup. Those are two valuable assets that they could move one of them if they had to. Of course, you mentioned the core going down to their farm team. I also think that they can run. A team can run, especially if you're not vying to win the Stanley Cup. You can run with a tandem with a one and a second back, like a backup. So it could be Grubauer and Decor. It could be Driedger and Decor. And I'm sure there's other players in the mix, but it is a good option for them to be able to trade one of those very important assets. And let me just say this. I think Chris Driedger will get a good look at right off the bat. And the reason I say that is because then it solidifies him as an asset. Because there were question mark guys, if you were watching, and I'm sure you were, there were a lot of people saying he's only played 38 games. And you and I, Paul, are big fans of him because we've seen him obviously in Australia, what he's done for us. It's not the National Hockey League, but 38 games is a small window of opportunity to look at.
There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. He still has a lot to prove. That's the perfect place to prove it in Seattle, where I don't think there's any pressure. It's their first year.
Well, it's the same situation with Fleury as well. He was just coming off the two Stanley Cup runs with Matt Murray, and people were kind of unsure. Maybe he was done, but he came back with Vegas and lit it up his first year there. So again, it's a situation that I could help anyone. But
Can I just throw that out? Thank you, Jordan, for saying that. I wanted to look at how fickle it is. Right? They got rid of Fleury, and then he wins, goes on his run at an older age. And then Murray just basically, let's call it a spade, pooped the bed. And we don't know where he's going to be with Ottawa next year, right? Or this upcoming season. And so it's really fickle. And I think in Pittsburgh too, Jari, we saw what went on in the playoffs. So it's really tough. Do you have that old time veteran who you can count on? Okay, Fleury did give up kind of a little bit of a bad goal, but again, we know that can happen, but on a consistent basis, I think Fleury still has it. Yeah. I think Fleury still has a lot.
Maybe Fleury. I think if Fleury wants to play and it's not in Chicago, they'll make a deal somewhere else.
Yep, I agree.
If he wants to retire, he's going to retire. He can't do nothing about it. As a Blackhawk fan, I'm really excited about the team this year, and I'm excited about him. But if he doesn't want to play for whatever reason, he doesn't want to play in Chicago, they'll move him somewhere. Some team, if he wants to play, some team will grab him.
Fantastic. All right.
Just quickly on one last thing on that. Who's your opening night starter? Rosey first. Opening night starter for Seattle.
Okay, I have no problem with that whatsoever. If they
that was a question.
The question.
Oh, sorry. Say that again.
Who's your opening night starter for Seattle?
Oh, I think Grubauer. I think I said that. I think Grubauer gets the start, to be really honest with you. He's a veteran still. He's played longer in the NHL. You can't slap him in the face to start the year. It's like when Babcock, benches Spezza in Toronto his first game. But you start off with a bad taste in your mouth.
Gouche?
Are you talking baseball or hockey? I'm going to go against the starter. I'm going to go with. I'm going to agree with you, Paul. I think they have to go with Grubauer. He's a proven goaltender. Obviously, the contract at 6.6 mil. Sorry, 6 years at 5.9 mil. I think you got to start with him. You know what? And I think Chris Driedger's going to understand that. But I don't think it's going to be a situation where they run with Grubauer for a long period of time. I think they may go 1-2, go back and forth for a little bit, settle everybody down, but I think it would be an insult if they didn't go with Grubauer. And I love you, Chris Driedger, but I think we have to understand there is still seniority.
You know what they might do is their opening game is on the road. Grubauer starts the on the road game, and Driedger starts against Vancouver, the home game, or the opposite way. Whoever starts on the road, the other guy starts at home.
Great point.
I agree.
All right, what else you got for us, Jordan? Did I win that, or were we tied?
We'll do that at the end.
Okay.
All right, moving on to Edmonton, the Duncan Keith trade. That kind of it raised my eyebrows for sure, because I'm in the thought that Duncan Keith's kind of in the twilight of his career. He can still do a little bit offensively, but a -13 on the Chicago. Granted, Chicago wasn't a great team this year, but still, I like to see that number a little higher. But do you think that this trade will help the Oilers at all? Does it bolster that back end? They lost Adam Larson, picked up Tyson Barrie. It's not going to be the same decor as last year, but we'll start with Gouche this time, actually.
Hey, listen, I am absolutely all in on this one. I think Duncan Keith is a valuable asset to the Edmonton Oilers. When Edmonton lost Adam Larson, we spoke to Gino about that yesterday. It was a big hole to fill, but they did come back with a pretty good response. They got Tyson Barrie signed up, and then, of course, they got Cody Ceci, who is a very durable defenseman, and he played very well last year for the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I think what's going to help is that it's his veteran experience. It's being able to calm down Nurse, control that defense with leadership that they haven't quite had to deal with on their back end specifically. Plus, you've got a tandem of stars up front. Now, of course, them signing with Zach Hyman. I think they're going to be better offensively. I think their power play is going to be better. And I think Duncan Keith will be the glue that keeps the defensive core together. My only question in Edmonton, I got to throw this one out there. I think Duncan Keith is going to help, but I still think they need to look at a formidable backup or 1A, 1B scenario with Smith.
Rosey?
Yeah, I think with Duncan Keith, they're grasping at straws here. They're trying something. I think if they didn't take on his full salary, I would have said, yes, I'm going to give Edmonton a little more credit. But by taking on his whole salary and using that off of the critical dollars on your cap right now, I think that's going to come back and bite them. Can Duncan Keith still play as a 6th, 5th defenseman? Yeah, I think they're going to have to use him as a 3 or 4, and that will be difficult. On the power play, he's lost a lot of speed. And you know what? If he gives up the puck, they don't have any really incredible defensive core in front of Mike Smith, who just re-upped for 2 years. I think he's going to be 52 when the contract ends. And then Taskinen, who's still brutal as like even an American Hockey League goalie. So I think it was money that was spent. Yes, Gouche, he will help the dressing room, and he'll be able to sit down with McDavid and all the guys, Draisaitl, and tell them about how to win and tell them the great stories on the road and show them the 3 Stanley Cup rings. But ultimately, I think it's a bad move. I think
just if you don't mind me just throwing this in really quickly, I think you may have missed the what I was suggesting. I don't think he's going to help McDavid or Draisaitl. Who I think he's going to help tremendously is Darnell Nurse. I think he needs some better leadership. I think he makes a bunch of gaffes and mistakes, and I think Duncan Keith, he won't be playing first and second minutes. He'll probably be at the tail end 4 or 5 slotman, but I think he will help the defense get a better grasp on playing the game that they need to do to protect Smith at the back end.
I agree with you on him mentoring Nurse 100%, but you're spending a lot of money on a limited opening on your cap for somebody to protect Duncan or Darnell Nurse.
So
Jordan, how long did you have? Sorry.
So I just pulled it up. The Oilers have 1.2 million less in cap space, and Duncan Keith's cap hit is $5.53 million.
A lot of money.
That's way too much for a bottom pairing defenseman.
How long is he? How long is it?
He's got 2 more years left.
Yeah,
Yeah,
two
okay.
more.
Yeah. Let's see what. Yeah.
They're to pull some strings because they have 2 RFAs right now in Warren Fogle and Kyler Yamamoto. So they do need to pick up a 1B from Mike Smith.
Yeah.
So
and they need Yamamoto.
From what they say, they're using what's his name again? Is it what's his name? I always screw his name up. Toskinen is the
Toskinen.
Yeah. So they're still. He's brutal.
He's 4.5 million cap hit for one more year though. It's his last year. So
how did they pay a guy like?
guys,
honestly, how did they pay a guy like that kind of money? Like, God bless him and his family. Like, he's got money. But how does he get that kind of money?
I remember when he signed that deal. It was probably 3-4 years ago. It was his first year in the league as well. And I think it was still Peter Chiarelli was the GM there.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I just knew it was going to bite them in the ass. And clearly, right now, it is.
But he wears number 19, right? He wears 19.
He wears a weird number. I think it's like 40 or something.
No, I think he wears 19. Let's look it up. But I'm pretty sure he wears the weirdest number for a goalie. I think it's 19.
All right.
What's next?
All right. This is probably a hot topic. It's the Leafs. Do you think the Leafs signings are enough to kind of help them in the playoffs? They've kind of moved away from the Joe Thorntons and the Nick Folignos and those guys, and they're bringing in more young guys with a little more with some edge as well, like Andre Cass, David Camp, and they brought in Nick Ritchie last night as well on a $2.5 million deal. Do you think it's enough to help them get out of the first round at all? Let's start with Rosey.
No, I don't. I actually don't think they're going to even make the playoffs this year. I think they went backwards, not forwards. I think getting rid of Zach Hyman hurt them. I think this year of all the things, so you re-up Spezza, which I love, but you went after Foligno and you went after Spezza and you went after Thornton, you went after Simmons and all these old guys, and this was the perfect year. You could have actually got Corey Perry. Corey Perry went to Tampa for 2 years. There's your signing. You want to sign a guy like that, veteran leadership, and that hasn't won, and he has actually won years ago in 2006 with Anaheim. There's your guy, Corey Perry. But I think their goaltending, maybe a Mrazek, if he can play up to what he can play, he'll be fine. But his injuries, Campbell has not proven to be a number one yet. I don't like it. I think Leaf fans, if you think your team is better this year, you got serious problems, man. Because I don't even have them making the playoffs in my summer predictions for next year.
Gooch?
Grievances don't come to the Gouche. I agree with you on some parts. Listen, when you start signing guys like Nick Ritchie and you think you're going to get your fan base ecstatic, you're in trouble. But the other one, here's what I find really interesting about the Leafs. They had great opportunity. I know you got cap space and you got to, hey, listen, look at what Tampa Bay's doing. They can figure it out, right? A lot of teams that have had cap issues figure it out. But the Winnipeg Jets, of course, who we'll touch upon just before we leave, have also figured it out. They added key players to their defensive core. What has the Toronto Maple Leafs done? They haven't figured the cap space out. They've not been able to figure out that they need a 1A, 1B goaltender situation. Maybe they've solved that with Mrazek. I know Jordan loves him, so we'll see how that. And he's not that expensive. I think he got 3.8, and I know Anderson signed in Carolina for about 5. So that was a good trade-off. But when you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, here's what really gets me excited. Maple Leafs close to signing Josh Ho-Sung. Honestly, how do you get excited about that? You had Dougie Hamilton. It's true. I read it on the internet. Somebody actually put this out there. Why are they looking at this? Why don't they just everybody shut up and go back into the room? Dubas says this is the year. This is the team. I'm all in. All in. Oh, my God. Get locked up. Like, go to a clinic or something like that. If
You,
you think what you're doing,
the crazy thing too is this kid, Josh was saying he actually was a really good junior. He had a
Yeah, I remember him.
great career in the O. Really a ton of talent potential coming in. He's just never lived up to it. I actually like this kid, but that's what they do. They go after stupid deals. There was so many guys out there that they could have, if they used their brains, they could have got. And I still think they should have made the deal for Marner for Jones. Like, I'm loving Jones in Chicago. I think they paid way too much money for him, but they didn't ask me to chip in.
Jordan, before I know you're going to comment here. I want to ask you this. Obviously, the whole thing, I make that reference. Yes, he had a lot of potential. Is this please don't take it wrong, but is it a marketing ploy to bring in another audience and saying, listen, we've got to see how the opportunity is, because the poor kid didn't make it where he was. Where is he playing right now? He's down in the AHL.
He was it was in the Islanders system.
Islanders system, yeah.
In the AHL team there, yeah. Bakersfield.
And why didn't he make it? Because he had a really good shot with the Islanders. Does anybody know why? Is it just he's not at this level? Too much pressure?
I don't think he panned out. He's a great skater, good hands. Just
he had a great. Was he with Erie? Who was he with in the O?
I'll pull it up.
And I looked, Toscan is number 19 with Edmonton as a backup goalie, number 19. I don't get that one, but whatever. Wherever he was in the O, whether it was Owen Sound or Erie.
Niagara and Windsor.
Okay, Niagara and Windsor. He was a hell of a kid. Like, he had a good junior career, but not like that. You put a ton of pressure on a kid and he just doesn't live up to it. Will it change the scenery? But even at best, he's a fourth liner. Like, Toronto's missed the boat on so many things.
Well, yeah, and then you talk guys like Michael Bunting, Curtis Gabriel. I know that everybody's excited that they have had a little bit of grit and that sort of stuff, but I just don't think they answered the core issues that they have. But I know, Jordan, you're going to comment on this one. I know, Paul, you will too. If all of this is equal, they've added some fringe players. It's really going to turn to Mrazek. Is he the guy that can lead at that back end? Is he the guy that can work with Campbell and be a formidable tandem? That they don't need rock stars right now. They just need somebody that can be in the net and give Campbell. We saw what he did.
Stop the puck.
Yeah. Jordan, is there any...
I think if Campbell doesn't have the year he had last year, this is a totally different situation. But I think right now, probably the best course of action, because you don't know about Mrazek's health, and Campbell is a serviceable starter. I think you go with a tandem, like maybe not alternate every game, but would probably get like 40, 50-ish starts between them, as a pair. So it works best as a tandem. But another thing I want to add quickly, the Leafs. Guess how much cap space the Leafs have right now?
I don't think they have any. Do they have any?
None. Zero.
They're they might have to actually give some money to get, like, they're too high.
Yeah, they're
but 82.89
$82,894,000, and the cap's 81.5, I believe.
Yeah,
so they are a little bit over.
Both their goalies. If's a huge word. Like, if's the greatest word in the world. I love if, the best word. If both Campbell and Mrazek stay healthy, they could have a real solid team. Both goalies. How many times last year were we talking about it? Campbell, he's out for 3 games ago. Where did he get hurt? And I go back and I watch the game. I watch and he got, in the second period, he got brushed. Like a guy brushed up against the side of him. He's out 3 games. Like, can you honestly?
I'll tell you what.
You honestly rely, real quick, can you honestly rely on Mrazek? A lot of talent, injured almost all of his career. If he stays healthy, phenomenal. Jack Campbell, he's been injured so many times.
The most important person on that team will be their trainers. They're going to need gaffer tape. They're going to need hammers and nails, and they may even need to use some crazy glue. Well, that was fantastic.
The great thing is they can go to the Blue Jays. Now the pitchers can't use that stick-em spit on the ball. They can get that stuff. Use that stuff to clean up their game. Maybe get the puck to like really quick. I know we're going to end now, but what did you think about the fact that Tampa upped Corey Perry for 2 years?
I think Tampa Bay's that team now where like they want someone, they get him. Like it's hard not to go there. No state tax, really good team, 2 Stanley Cups. I think it's literally just him. You come here.
Yeah, and I'll agree. I love Corey Perry. I wish he would have been an asset in the Winnipeg Jets system. Obviously, Toronto. Again, you said it best, Paul. They should have at least kicked the tires. But I think, you know what, Jordan, when you told me about the fact that there's no state tax, you could play for $5 million and yet play up here for $8 million, and you're making more money at the $5 million because you ain't paying no tax.
That was Stamkos. That was Stamkos' whole thing. When Toronto business people offered him so much, he was getting, even though he's taking a couple mil less, he was actually making more because he's not paying taxes in Tampa.
It's unbelievable. Let's move. Let's get the Gouche Live production down in Tampa. Let's get that. Hey, it's nice weather too.
I would love to do that. That would be awesome. Okay.
All right, guys, what a great roundtable. Scott Taylor apologized. He thought it was at 4:00 today. Okay. We will make sure he's back on next week at 12 o'clock for the roundtable. Paul, always a great job. Jordan, thank you for being there for us as a fantastic producer. I will see you guys on Monday.
All right. Take it easy.
See you, Rosie.
Thanks, Jordan. Yep. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it. Jordan, as always, Gouche. Good to go toe-to-toe on some of these different things that are happening in the NHL, even though everything is done now and pretty well everybody has August off. All the hockey shows are stopped until after Labor Day when training camp opens up. We will still be going on straight through August. Different timings and a few less shows, but we'll still be talking to you about everything that's happening that maybe a lot of people don't know about. Tomorrow night's journey with Barks and Rosie, we're not doing the show tomorrow night because it is a long weekend. Everybody have a great weekend at your cottages. Be smart. Don't drink and drive. Take care of everybody and take care of yourself. And, just stay safe. Be happy and stay safe. And don't criticize. Look in the mirror before you tell somebody something that you want to say that's negative. Have a great day. God bless.
You've been listening to the Rosen Report, sports like never before, with your host, Rosie. Brought to you by Gouche Live and Paramount Sports Management.